Welcome to the Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo-woo.
Welcome to a Coffee with Karen, a cup of positivity with just a sprinkling of woo-woo. So I'm your host, Karen Roberts. I do run a coaching program. I do deal with all aspects, the mental, the physical, and the spiritual, and the woo-woo a little bit. And every week, my guests will be discussing a topic of their choice. And it will be either from a mental, physical, spiritual perspective, or what tends to happen is it will be a combination of all three. So my guest today, well, actually, I'm going to let her introduce herself. So if you would like to share with the listeners who you are, what you do, and a little bit of your story, please.
Yeah, sure. Hi, Karen. Thank you so much for having me today. My name's Daphne Wiswell. I am the chronic illness coach, and I coined that title for myself after living with chronic illness for more than 2 decades. I've battled chronic illness. I have 2 children who have battled chronic illness, and I've just learned a lot about how to manage those things physically, mentally, and spiritually, and how to thrive in life despite these things that have threatened to tear us down in all of those areas, right? And so I'm a wife. I've been with my high school sweetheart for 27 years, and we have 3 kids. They're 24, 19, and 18, 2 sons and a daughter. We're currently training a diabetic alert dog so that our son can live a free and independent life with the assistance of that service animal. And it's been a wild journey, but lots of fun. So worth it to see him be able to do things that young adults his age should be able to do. And so, yeah, I have a coaching practice and an online academy, and I love serving women who are either battling chronic illness themselves or who are parenting children or being caregivers to parents. So if chronic illness has impacted their life, then I love being able to come alongside them and give them support and learning things about nutrition or pharmaceutical tips and tricks, or how to navigate the insurance system, or just practical day-to-day things, how to prepare a meal without feeling overwhelmed, and do things quickly and healthily, and also just to deal with all the mental aspects. There's a lot of turmoil in relationships when you're dealing with chronic illness, and then just the spiritual side of things too, so that you can maintain your joy and your peace and your hope for the future, even though they might have all those things going on. So,
wow, fantastic. Yeah. So yeah, you did say that, your perspective would be the spiritual side of things. So the little bit of the woo-woo, just a sprinkling. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
Well, I think what I mean is, for me, I think that when you're dealing with, everybody has trials in life, right? Whether it's chronic illness or anything else, we can face hard things in life. And I think that when we face hard things in life, or when we have traumatic events, or circumstances that are beyond our control, there can be a lot of fear. Right now, we're living in a time where there's a lot of fear because there are so many things that are beyond our control. And I actually feel like I've been in training for this season for 2 decades, because I have learned how to not allow fear to have any kind of influence in my decision making, because fear is a liar. And so I will not let it impact the decisions or the choices that I make. And also how to not allow fear to invade my body, because fear can literally change our physiology. It can change the way we think. It can change the way our cells react to things. We all have that fight or flight response. And so how to calm that down so that we don't have so much inflammation in our physical bodies. And that's all very spiritual to me. That's a spiritual thing, because you can't consciously say, well, I'm just not going to be afraid when there are things beyond your control. So you really have to go into the parts of yourself where you can find some truth, and you can receive that truth deep in your heart and in your spirit. And you can live your life from a place that vibrates and resonates that truth, so that you can stay in joy, you can stay in peace, and your body can be in alignment with all of that.
Absolutely. I mean, that really is, I mean, that's really along sort of my things about overall health. It's got to be, I don't know, what is it these days that we're all looking for? Something happens, we want a particular thing to solve it. We want instant
Mhm.
gratification, and right, we've got a headache, so that's going to solve the headache, rather than looking at the person in a holistic way and saying, well, the headache is a warning.
Yes.
Yeah, paracetamol or aspirin can get rid of the headache, but what's causing the headache? And there are so many. We
Right.
are such complex beings. People say, oh, we're like a machine. No, we're not. There's nothing
Mm-mm.
like a machine. So complex. And there is the mental, and there is the physical, and there is the spiritual side of us.
Mhm.
And taking a look at it all to heal just seems
Yes.
common sense, doesn't it? How did we get to this stage where we're just all expecting somebody in a white coat to give us a pill to
Right.
solve whatever issues that we have? Where do you think this
Yes.
all comes from?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know that a lot of it can come from you just that's how we grew up, right? Like if something's wrong, you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you how to fix it. But somewhere along the way, I think that medicine has really changed from being a system that cares about health to a system that treats a symptom. And probably through no fault of their own. I think there are a lot of physicians who really do care and really do want to see their patients flourishing and thriving. But it's just a very it's there's just too many people overloading the system, I think, with all of their things. I have a mentor friend slash physician who, when you mentioned headaches, it made me think about her because one of the things that she teaches her patients, because she specializes in headaches, and one of the things that she teaches her patients is awareness. And when they come in, they have to like do this little journaling, or she'll instruct them to do some journaling before they come back for their next appointment. And she wants them to pay attention to anything that happened before the headache came on, or any thoughts that they were thinking before the headache came on, because conflict in relationships or stress at work, or I was feeling afraid that this thing might happen later in the day, all those things can trigger headaches, and people don't even think about them. They go to like, well, what did I eat? Or did I forget this? And they're not even connecting the day to day things that can really trigger those nerves in your body to tense up and cause a headache. And so I think that's so fascinating.
Absolutely. I think it's stress. I think
Hmm.
it's something we've been talking about for years, and people have said that stress is, a very important part of, getting
Hmm.
ill, can cause all sorts of illness. But I still don't think really in general people have actually taken that on board, because it's such an
Right.
intangible thing. It's how do you
Yes.
measure it? There's nothing to see. You can't look, there's no machine they've got, and they can look at you and go, your stress levels are
Hmm.
I don't know,
Right.
9 out of 10. You need to do something, girl. Um, but imagine if there was. I think people would
Mm.
realize that actually they've been under a lot of stress for a long time. I mean, as we know,
Right.
stress has its good points, right? We need a certain amount of stress.
Hmm.
We need a certain amount of stress, but it is the prolonged stress, cortisol being released into the body for too long, too consistently, is
Yes.
absolutely 100%. I don't care what anybody says, that is having a detrimental effect on your body, on your cells.
Yes.
So, for you, with your own, let's go back with you for your story. So, when did your initial sort of health issues start, or when were you first aware of them?
I was diagnosed with my first autoimmune disease when I was 26 years old. And then I was diagnosed with the second one about 6 months later. And
Wow.
so that's when my own issues started. And then a year after that, my 2-year-old was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition. And then I think it was maybe 5 years after that, my 10-year-old daughter was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition. And so it's been almost 20 years ago 17 years ago that I got my first two diagnoses, and I've dealt with several other things along the way. You were talking about stress and cortisol and all that stuff. And I just about a year ago went to a physician because I'm having some new health things kind of pop up. And I've been on this journey of taking such good care of my body and my mind and resting and learning all of these things that I was really kind of surprised by these new health things that were popping up. And so I went to the specialist and he did some muscle testing on me. And he did this
Oh,
muscle testing and he said, your muscles are responding to these tests like someone who has been battling PTSD for 20 years. What's going on? What's stressing you out? And I was like, oh, well, I have two kids with chronic illnesses that require 24/7 care. And I'm just kind of like in mom mode and go mode. And I do take time for rest and I do really take care of myself. But I mean, that stress is still there. I'm
yeah, sure.
responsible for them. And so I think it's fascinating to know that we can nutritionally do all the things and exercise, do all the things and rest, do all the things. And still that cortisol has such an effect on our cells. And so now I'm learning about even more things I can do to support my body's natural healing processes. And it's getting better. It's getting better.
Good, great to hear. My
Yes.
goodness.
Yes.
I
I'm like,
mean, yeah,
if I can annihilate rheumatoid arthritis, I can get rid of this little low stomach acid digestive issue thing that I have.
right. Now it's interesting. Okay, so rheumatoid arthritis
The
the
first
first
one.
one?
Hmm.
And so about that time then, what was your mindset around that time? Was there
Oh,
any dramas going on? Was there any
I was
were you
diagnosed
under
with rheumatoid
stress?
I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. I was 26 years old. So I had a husband who worked out of town 6 weeks at a time. He was gone while I was home with the three kids. My kids were 7 and 2 and 1. And I was battling pretty severe depression and panic attacks. And that's when the diagnosis came. And, with autoimmune disease, there's a strong component where it can be triggered by stress or environment or toxins or trauma. And I think for me, just giving, childbirth can be traumatic. I had two C-sections.
Oh,
And so yeah, it was during that time. I was new mom.
a lot of pressure. Yeah, I mean, I am definitely. I can understand the connection between. So
Hmm.
there's somebody that's very close to me. Yeah, rheumatoid arthritis, and the
Hmm.
moment it was diagnosed, I thought, I know what's caused that
Mm,
because of all the drama that she had gone through
yes.
with the father of her
Mm,
first two children. And
yes.
because of that, she would bottle it up, bottle it up, bottle it up, and not speak
Mm,
about it, bottle it up, bottle it up, and then she would explode. That was her way of dealing things throughout life.
me too for
And I always
years.
said, that's what's caused this. This is like because you internalize everything,
Hmm.
it's going to have to manifest
Hmm.
somehow through the body.
Right.
And I mean, okay, I'm not a doctor. I'm just putting it out there. That's how I see it. Do
Yes.
you think that something similar? Too much pressure, too much stress, too
Yeah.
much cortisol.
I love that you talked about that she would bottle up, and then explode, bottle it up, and then explode. That was totally my way of handling anything in relationships for a really, really long time. Like I just wouldn't share my heart with people. I wouldn't voice my needs to people. I had no sense of boundaries. I don't like the word demand really, but like I didn't teach people how to treat me. I would kind of just let things people had all these unrealistic expectations. I was always the good girl and I got straight A's and I did everything. I'm doing quotes here for people who can't see this because they're listening to a podcast. Like I did everything the right way, the good way, the way that would make people proud of me. And that is a huge weight to carry in your body. It's huge and it's too much. And so I found myself feeling really bitter towards people that hadn't done anything to me really, but had expected a lot of me because of I have a high potential. And so I allowed these people to raise their expectations and raise their expectations and raise until I just couldn't meet those expectations anymore. And I wasn't saying, I can't do this. No, I can't be there for you for that. No, I can't help with this or whatever it might be. And so this is the spiritual sprinkling of woo-woo part for me is I realized when I was in this deep, so I suffered with rheumatoid arthritis for about 7 years before I literally decided I will not live this way. I know this is not what is meant for me. I know that my body should know how to heal itself. I will not live this way anymore. And so I started to ask spirit, like, what do I need to know? What is it that is causing this, and how do I get rid of this? And what I learned, what I felt impressed in my heart was that I was bitter. I was carrying bitterness in my body, and it was rotting my cells, and it was rotting my bones, and it was rotting my cartilage, and it was rotting my joints. And I needed to release all of that bitterness. And so I began to keep a journal. And every time I felt like these little tinges of anger, or like, well, why would that person think that I would do that for them, or that I could do that for them, or why don't I feel like I have permission to say no to this thing or that person, I would write it down. And I would ask myself, why doesn't this bring me joy? Why is this causing me anger? Whatever it is. And then I would just release that responsibility and that person. And I would just receive in myself. I would just say, like, I'm receiving peace, and I forgive that person, and I let them go. And they don't know that they've hurt me in this way, but I won't allow this bitterness to hurt me or to consume my body. And I think it was probably about 1.5 years of that practice, added with, nutritional things and some other steps that I took. But I think that was the missing piece, the piece that my doctors couldn't share with me, that nutritionists couldn't teach me, that I just had to receive for myself in my spirit. Like, your body is holding on to this, and it needs to let it go. And it has been, let's see, so it's been 12 years since I woke up one morning and had no pain, and got off all my medications, and stopped going to the hospital and getting IV antibiotics. And my doctor said, I don't know how you did this. I've never seen this happen, but you don't have to come back unless your symptoms return. In 12 years, they have not come back.
That is powerful.
Isn't it?
There you go. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Well, there you go. I can't believe you said that from that. That is just, to me, that's it. That's proof. That is proof. And it just goes to show, I mean, like, I do think, for the last, I don't know, well, 20, no, it's not that long, maybe 15 years since the real success of the film The Secret, and people read sort of, obviously it's been around a lot longer, but mainstream people have been introduced to the law of attraction and how things work. And that is just like, hello, it is what it is, whether you believe it or not. It's on 24/7.
Yes.
So how you think and feel is everything. Actually, it's
and
not.
I also believe how you speak. Like, one of the things I share in my book is, like, if you're always saying, I'm tired, I'm hurting, I can't do this, I can't do that, then you're perpetuating that cycle in your body to continue. But if you're saying, like when my body was in real pain and there were really things I could not do, instead of saying those things, I would say, I'm vibrant, I'm full of life, I have so much energy. And it was very contrary to what I was actually experiencing in my body. But I believe that Dr. Caroline Leaf talks about how you can create new neural pathways in your brain. And so I believe that by saying those things, I would hear those things, and my mind began to believe those things. And then my brain created these new neural pathways to where that is what became my reality.
Love that. 100%. I'm behind that. 100%.
Yes. Our words have so much power.
Oh, and isn't it interesting that we would never speak to another person, even if we didn't like them,
right,
in the way that sometimes we speak to ourselves. But yeah, you're so correct. Words have power, and especially if it's in your own, it's in your own head. The way you talk to yourself is going to be more important than the way you talk to others. Absolutely fascinating. And so for people out there you go. Fantastic piece of advice there from Daphne. And then even a stage further, you could even record in your own voice and then listen to it at night. So it's almost like a meditation at the end of the day. And you're hearing yourself say those things to yourself. Oh,
And
I'm
I have little
sold.
sticky notes on my mirror too, so that in the morning when I get up, there are some nights where anyone who's listening who might have chronic illness too knows, like, you wake up and you don't feel like you slept because your body is fighting itself all the time. And so, but I don't have that experience anymore. I wake up feeling so rested every day because for years I had a sticky note on my mirror that said, I rested so well. I feel so full of energy. I'm going to conquer blah, 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 blah today. And in reality, maybe I could go to the grocery store and that's it before I would crash on the sofa because that's all the energy I had. But I would say it every day. I would say it every day. And now I experience so much energy in my body to do so many of the things that my heart desires to do.
But there you go. You've just said something there as well, which I think is really important to push, is the fact that this wasn't a one-time event, right?
No.
You didn't just say to yourself once, yeah, I'm feeling great, I've got loads of energy, and then go about your business and then wonder why you're still feeling terrible.
Mhm.
This is how things happen. It's spaced repetition of a new idea, spaced repetition over and over. How long did you say? Did you say 18 months, was it?
About, yes.
About 18 months. Right, to be that consistent every day, something made you do that, because a lot of people would have maybe tried for a week, and then
Mhm.
if it didn't work, they'd give up. So what drove you back then? What drove you to just keep going? Something must have done that for you to keep going for 18 months.
I believe that it's really important for us to have vision. And and so I think it for me it was I had this vision in my mind. I had this picture in my mind of the wife I wanted to be and the mother I wanted to be. And it was what I had always dreamed of. It was, I want to be a wife who's present with my husband and can enjoy going out on date nights. And I want to go ride bikes and I want to go hiking and I want to do all the things that we enjoy doing together. And I want to be able to do that all day long, not for 30 minutes. And then I have to go home and crash for 3 days because it wore me out. And I wanted to take my children to the park and I wanted to go on vacation and I wanted to be able to we homeschooled my whole kids entire education, like maybe a couple years they went to public school, but we homeschooled most of the time. And I just wanted energy to like take them to get together with other kids and to teach classes and to do experiments and to visit museums and all those kinds of things. And so I just had that vision in my mind and I thought this is who I want to be and this is who I am, and I'm going to be that person. I'm going to be her. And that vision is what drove me because I couldn't let it go.
Right. I mean, that is, so anybody listening, this stuff doesn't happen overnight. You have got to be committed. I mean, at
Mhm.
the end of the day, time's gonna pass anyway. So 18 months would have passed anyway with you
Right.
still on the medication. So nothing would have changed other than what you're
Mhm.
telling us is your mindset. You made a conscious decision to change how you thought, how you spoke to yourself,
Yes.
which would have a knock on effect to how you feel because you had this big vision. I mean, if
Mhm.
that isn't just 100% proof, then I really just don't know what is. That is amazing. And well done, you, for staying so committed.
Thank you.
So, to anybody out there who is suffering with any kind of autoimmune, I mean, I just can't even begin to imagine
Yeah.
we take for granted our health when we have
Mhm.
it. We just, because you just think you're invincible. And yes, I take my hat off to anybody who's suffering with any kind of autoimmune disease. People that are healthy have no clue as to what you're going through. But that means there is light at the end of the tunnel. So,
Mhm.
guys, if you are listening and you are suffering, please get in touch with Daphne, because that is, I mean, that just in itself is phenomenal advice. And we are. I mean, at the end of the day, we're energy beings. We're spiritual
Mhm.
beings. We will respond to the now.
Yes.
So even if you are in pain, it just makes so much sense to think that, at the end of the day, what is a belief? A belief is just a thought you keep thinking. So
Mhm.
in the beginning, you're going to be telling a lie. Yes, you are, because you're still
Right.
going to be in pain and you're getting up every day and you're telling yourself a lie. I mean, isn't
Mhm.
that mad? We're teaching people to lie. But it's a good lie. It's a good lie. It's a good
They're
lie.
actually telling themselves the truth, because I believe that it's the truth of how we were designed to live.
100%.
So
Yes, you're
so it
right there.
but it will feel like a lie because it will feel, contrary to your experience, but I actually believe that it's your experience that is the lie, and you are teaching your body the truth that it needs to get into alignment with.
Yes, you're right. You're right there. Your default setting is perfect health. That's the
Right.
default setting that
Yes.
we were made with. And somehow along the way, I don't know what your thoughts are on it. My true belief is, again, it's never one thing. It will be a combination of things. Yes,
Mhm,
nutrition, of course, is important. We're
mhm,
not getting the right nutrients in the right balance. That's
mhm.
going to keep us off balance. Is that going to cause an autoimmune? No. Are we going to die tomorrow? No.
Yeah.
But it weakens the body.
Right.
Then on top of that, toxins. And
Mhm,
it does seem to be a lot of autoimmune diseases that when things are looked back, there is some kind of exposure to
mhm.
maybe more toxins than others. But even that, those two things maybe by themselves, and then I do think, I'm not getting into 5G conspiracy or anything about that, but I am aware that EMF there is
Mhm,
EMF radiation that, again, on a healthy person with no toxins, probably isn't going to make any difference at all. But for somebody that's
mhm.
not absorbing, maybe some people can eat the food and not actually absorb the right nutrients,
That's
plus
actually
toxins.
that's
Yeah.
actually one of the things that I just realized was happening to me. Some of my levels
Ah,
of my nutrients were going way down, and I'm thinking, "Okay, I eat a super healthy, plant-based, no gluten, no sugar, no I was like, "Oh my gosh, what is going on?" And I discovered it's because I had low stomach acid. And if you have low stomach acid, you can't I know that's not the point of your show, but it's like,
no, that's okay. That's
you have to be
okay.
able to absorb the nutrients that your body, even if you're eating a super healthy, nutritious diet, if you
And
can't break
supplementing.
down
Yeah,
and
you can't
absorb,
absorb.
you
Yeah.
can actually become toxic. I was actually becoming toxic because I was trying to supplement all these things because I wasn't, but I didn't realize I was having a breakdown and absorption issue. And so now that I've fixed that, I'm like, oh, I'm feeling so much better.
There
It's
you go.
incredible.
It's never one thing, is it? And
Yeah.
I do think it's just take everything into account. And then
Hmm.
the emotional stress, like you said, that was the real piece. That was the final
Yes.
piece of the puzzle. And again, I think just people totally underestimate the power of cortisol
Hmm.
on a negative way, on how it can be so
Yes.
detrimental. So for you, you've found out about rheumatoid, or you've got rheumatoid or arthritis,
Hmm.
and 18 months later after doing this. But what really was, can you sort of pinpoint an actual turning point in your journey to healing?
You mean like when I decided I was going to
Yeah,
heal?
yeah. What was it that triggered that?
The turning point is really sad. It was the very sudden and traumatic death of my mother-in-law, who I loved dearly. And she was young, and we weren't expecting it. And one day she wasn't ill, and we found her in a coma. And she was in a coma. We found out later because she had ulcers that had ruptured and caused her body to go septic and all her organs to fail. And it took a month for her to pass naturally.
Oh,
And so it was devastating, and it was heartbreaking, and it was unexpected, and she was only 66, so I feel like it was too early for her. I don't think it was her time to go. And and that was my turning point, because I thought, she actually at that point was taking much better care of herself than I was. I mean, she went on daily walks with her dogs, and she took a swimming aerobics class, and she ate way more salads than I ever had at that point in my life. And she really was taking good care of her body. And so I thought, but when I learned that it was the ulcers, she dealt with a lot of anxiety. She dealt with a lot of stress. She was a middle school teacher with her master's in special education. And so she dealt with children who had all types of learning disabilities and severe issues. And so she had a very stressful career. And I thought, okay, she had a stressful career, but I have a stressful job as a mom taking care of these kids. And if this can kill her when she's 66 years old in this very sudden and traumatic way, then what could it do to me?
Right.
And she didn't even have any of these underlying, issues. She was healthy otherwise. So so that was my turning point. I just decided that I needed to really internalize how to steward my body well so that I could be here for a long time for my kids and for my future grandkids and actually enjoy that time here, you know?
Right. It's interesting, isn't it, that there's always a something big
Mhm.
to trigger, and it's emotional.
Mhm.
Quite often it's an emotional trigger. So yeah, it's strange how that happens. And there you go. I mean, it's uh again, we can do all that we can to try and protect ourselves from certain things like that, as we just said, try to get the right nutrients, try to rid all the
Mhm.
toxins, try to protect yourself from that, try and be
Right.
calm, and then again, something outside of our control,
Mhm.
which at the end of the day, we never were in control. That's sort of the
There you
funny
go.
thing.
You hit the nail on the head.
We like to think we're in control, but
Mhm.
we never were. We
Mm-mm.
never were.
That's
If
so good.
if
Yeah.
that's one thing we've learned in the last 2 years, right? Yeah, it's just brought that to the forefront. We've just
Mhm.
realised that we never actually did have control.
Yep.
It was all a lie. It was all a lie.
Yes.
So for you, I mean, congratulations. I mean, does this mean how are your children as well? Have they taken all this on board?
Yes. So I know it, I always feel kind of sad when I tell my story and then I still have my kids are still battling what they're battling. But my son's condition is he has type 1 diabetes, and type 1 diabetes is just it's nothing with nutrition. It's a hormone that is not produced in your body anymore. And you have to have that hormone to stay alive. There's so many people who are like, do this, do that. I'm like, you don't understand. If you don't have this hormone, you will die. And you can't eat a food or not eat a food that will make your body produce the hormone again. And so it will take a miracle for his body to start to produce that hormone again, which I believe his body could do. I mean, he's had it for 16 years, but I believe at any point his body could produce that hormone again and he would be completely healed. And he believes that too. And so we make lots of declarations about that. And sometimes he jokes on days when he has like really low blood sugars, even though he hasn't done any insulin. He's like, "I'm healed. I don't need insulin anymore. I'm cured." and we and we laugh about it, and are like, "Oh, really? Okay, let's see what happens." And then he'll have one that's kind of normal, and then one that's low. I'm like, "Okay, no, you're gonna need some insulin." So, um, but that's okay. He's healthy otherwise, and
So
he's
he's
doing great.
working towards it because, like you, it didn't happen overnight, right?
Yeah. Well, and there's yeah, he's taking really good care of his body. So, like I said, there's nothing that you can once your beta cells stop producing insulin, they won't produce them again.
Yeah. Type
But
1 is a little bit of a different thing. It is what
right.
yeah,
A
it's,
lot of people don't know much about it. Type 2 can be reversed. You can kick those beta cells back in. They can produce insulin. You can get off all your
but it's
meds.
not even the same thing.
It's
In
not.
fact, it annoys me. I think it should be called something different. It should,
I
because I'm
agree.
sorry,
I
type
agree.
2 is purely lifestyle.
Yeah.
Purely,
Well, do you
sorry,
know
there's no
it is, but it's also stress. Did you know?
oh, yeah,
Did you
and
know that
stress
people
is
can
gonna
live
be involved with it all.
yeah, people can live a very healthy lifestyle and be at a very healthy weight and still develop type 2 diabetes because of what stress does to your endocrine system. It's
There
crazy.
you go, stress. But it's still, and
You can
not being horrible. At the end of the day, when we're not aware of something, we have no
Yes.
way to deal with it. But still,
Mhm.
it's self-inflicted. Do
Right.
you, do you know what I mean by that? So, and I'm not saying that, I'm saying that that person
Yes.
is feeling the stress. Yeah, it's your son. No, sorry, totally different ball game. He didn't
Mhm.
ask for that. It's not his fault. There's nothing. That
Yeah.
it is what it is, right? So
Yeah.
that's when I want to say they're separate,
They're
completely
separate.
separate issues,
Yes.
and
And
they
I
should
always
be
like
called
to make
different things.
Right, they should be called different things. I always like to encourage people with type 2 also to know that even though there are probably some things that they maybe did to contribute to that illness, that it's totally within their power to do something different and possibly get their body kicked back. So like I want them to feel empowered to know like, hey, you might be able to reverse this. Let's work on that together. You know, and I've helped people do it. It's fascinating and so beautiful and wonderful to see when they're healthier
Yes.
and they're feeling better and it's like, look what you did, you know, it's possible.
To
So,
get them off the meds. Yeah,
mhm.
absolutely. That is yeah, that's one
Yes,
thing I focus on. Yeah, type 2.
yes.
Sorry, it's totally reversible.
You can do
Totally
so many
reversible with
things.
diet and exercise. And
Yes,
so
and
for
stress
you,
management.
yes, and stress management, it always keeps popping up, doesn't it? It
Uh-huh.
seems to be
Mhm,
that there's a common theme here. And
mhm.
actually, interestingly enough, I think throughout this whole radio show, with pretty much every single episode, cortisol comes up.
Mm,
Everything. It's
mhm.
amazing. It just goes to show that in general, in this day and age, and the pressures that in general, I know we're not all the same, but in general, people are feeling the similar stresses
Mhm.
throughout our lives, that we are under a lot more stress than we ever were.
Right. Yes.
Without a dress. Or maybe it's just, I don't know, maybe we've become disconnected to how to deal with stress. So, but
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think
yeah, sorry, go on.
no, I'm sorry. I think earlier you said it, there's it's a lot to do with awareness. I think people just aren't aware that they're feeling a certain way because it takes, intentionality, and I think it's also a very vulnerable process to get in touch with yourself and what you're really feeling, and I think that people tend to ignore that because it feels very scary to them. It feels scary to say, "What am I feeling, and why am I feeling that, and do I need to release that? Do I need to express that? Do I need to tell someone?" Do you know, that's a very intentional process of becoming more aware of what's happening in our bodies that a lot of people either don't know how to do, don't wanna make time to do, or feel afraid to do.
Yeah, they
And
just don't want to go there.
mhm, yeah, yeah, but it's so necessary.
Of course it is. Yeah, we've got whatever's hurting you, isn't it worth addressing it, looking
Mhm,
at it in the cold light of day, and moving through it.
yes.
So, can you expand a little bit, explain a little bit about the process that you went through in trying to heal your body? What were the any sort of specifics so that anybody listening could sort of, okay,
Mhm.
I can do that. I can do that.
Yeah, okay, I'm trying to think, like, I wrote a book about it, which you can get online for free, so people can go, and it kind of walks people through my process, but it's at my link, I'll share it with you so you can share it with your listeners if you'd like.
Brilliant.
Um
If well, for the because some people will be listening to the radio, some people will be on the podcast, some people will be
mhm,
watching it on YouTube. So for anybody just listening, because I'll put all your links down,
okay.
but if you're just listening on the radio or podcast, where can they find this book or what's your website?
So my website is the chronicillnesscoach.co/links is where they would find the link to get this book that they can download for free on whatever device they choose. The chronicillnesscoach.co/links. And it's called Breakthrough. And so in this book, I kind of take people on a 26-week journey, which they could do in 26 days or 26 hours or however long they want to sit down and read it. And there's some very simple, I share stories and tips and some practical exercises. So I have like some practical applications. Some things are simple, like try a new recipe and here are some ideas. And some things are take a 5-minute walk. And some things are like, you know, ask your body or your heart what it needs today and give yourself permission to have that thing or to do that thing. You know, I need space for my family. I need to do something I want just because I want to do it. I need to take a nap. I, you know, whatever it might be. Because my process really was all about learning to forgive and release, learning to forgive people and release bitterness because a lot of these people had no idea that they had even hurt me, like I said, with expectations. um, I also had to learn a lot about um, not performing for other people. So that has part to do with the expectations. You know, they would have expectations, but then I would put these things on myself, like, well, I have to perform to this level, or I have to be this type of person, or I have to do things this certain way, or people are going to be angry with me. And so I had to learn to release my own standards of performance and perfectionism and people pleasing, so that because every time, I can feel it in my body, like, do you ever get that sense of anxiety when um, when you've told someone that you're going to do something, or there's a deadline, or and something
Hmm.
happens to kind of like throw you off, and you're like, oh, well, I said I was going to do this, but now it's not going to be as good as I wanted it to be, and I don't want this person to be disappointed in me. Like, this is totally inside my head thought process, and so I had to like I had to learn to release all that stuff, and say inside myself instead, even with this distraction or this interruption or this chaotic, something happened with the blood sugar in the middle of the night, and now I'm way more tired than I should be the next day, and I've got to take care of this. But I would say to myself, like, I'm full of energy. I have all the time in the world to do the things that my heart wants to do, and this is going to be done with excellence, and it's going to be good enough, and I'm good enough, and all those kinds of things were really important in transforming my mindset. And also just I really had to get it in my mind that all things are possible. All things are possible. And even when the world says it's impossible, your boss, your spouse, your kid, whoever it might be, might, oh, you can't do that, or that's not going to work, or your doctor, oh, you can't do anything about that. Let's just get used to it. It's how your life is going to be. Don't agree with that. All things are possible. Get a vision in your head of what you desire for your life, and then write down some declarations of what you want to see happen, and then say those things over and over and over again. Um, because, like, I highly recommend people go find Dr. Caroline Leaf and look up her stuff. She has some great stuff on retraining your brain and creating those new neural pathways. And so that was a big part of my journey. And also just the nutrition piece, like I said before, was so key for me. But you know, how long ago was this? 17, 18 years ago. I just didn't there I don't think there was the literature and the blogs and all the things that are out there now with the different things that you should do. And so I just asked wisdom. What should I do? Wisdom, and wisdom told me what I should do, and I did that thing. And it's going to be different for everyone. That's what I love about wisdom. It's a source of truth that is unique to you and what you need.
Yeah.
And so I did what wisdom said, and I got better. And doctors couldn't have told me. The internet couldn't have told me. No one could have told me, because actually, it's the very opposite of what everyone in society says you should do if you have an autoimmune disease. Everyone says, oh, do autoimmune protocol, do eat AIP, do paleo, blah, blah, blah. Well, meat is very inflammatory for me. And so I do all plant based. And anyone who is a guru in that field would say, like, oh, you can't eat beans, you can't eat this, you can't eat that. But that's all the stuff I ate. And my body totally healed. So
There you go.
wisdom,
And they go, everyone is different.
everyone's
And
different.
I love what you just said there about, you asked wisdom. At the end of the day, it's going back to everybody coming back to being heart centered. The
Mhm.
answers are there, the answers are within you.
That's right. Yes,
And
the tagline on my website says that I help people unlock the healing power within. Because we all have it inside of us. We just need to know how to tap into it, how to access it, how to unlock it, and how to release it in ourselves.
fantastic. Yeah, we everything. And I do believe literally everything is solvable. And if
Mhm.
it doesn't get solved, it's just that we haven't figured out how to. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm a true believer in sort of terrain theory. At the end of the day, if a fish is sick, you clean the water first, and then the
Mhm.
fish will heal itself. It's amazing how that happens. So the same thing with our bodies, when
Yes.
left to its own devices, actually the body will heal itself. That's another
Mhm.
reason why I'm such an advocate of fasting,
Yes.
especially extended fasting. Not that, hang on, I'm not saying go straight into a long fast. I'm saying you have to get your body used to it.
Yes.
But the power, what's always fascinated me is, like, you said earlier about, how you talk to yourself, and so the thoughts. So I find it really interesting that we're all taught to meditate. In other words, we want to quiet the mind. We always want to quieten the mind so that we can actually listen to intuition.
Yes.
So that's an interest. So really, we're fasting from thought to heal mentally and spiritually. Yes. And then again, the body has this natural mechanism. Its natural defense, the natural default setting is health. And I find it interesting that quite often it's when you go without eating, stop eating anything, and the body actually, autophagy is triggered, and it actually goes into overdrive to actually heal. So we've got all these settings. None of them cost a penny or a cent.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes.
It's all free. You don't have to consume anything. You don't have to go you can just calm your mind and allow the body to heal. Yes, I'm not saying that's going to totally cure every ailment, but there's some power in that.
There's a lot of power in that. So much power.
Huge. So the two to get, I've always found that quite fascinating, the link, the two. It just means that we have everything within us already to heal.
Yes.
Mentally and physically. And there's nothing to take, no pill. There's no pill, there's no drink, there's no nothing, actually nothingness.
Yes. But I think that's actually one of the reasons that sometimes it can be a more difficult path, because a lot of people say that they want to get better, but then they don't really, I find with a lot of women especially, it's a self-worth issue where well, am I really worth the time that it would take for me to invest in this process? Am I really, and that hurts me so much. I think, oh my gosh, yes, you're worth the time that it would take. I don't have an hour to meet with you to talk about, and I'm thinking what? An hour to talk about what's in your mind, what's in your heart, how your body is manifesting those things, how we can brush some of them off. You're worth it. And so I just want to say that to anyone who might be listening who is like, well, that sounds like a lot of work, or that sounds like it would take a lot of time. Yes, it's going to take time. But like you said earlier, the time is going to pass anyway. Why not invest it in yourself and have a better future?
100%. I think even, I don't know, literally only a couple of days ago, what was my quote? Is it going to take, what's it? Will it be worth? No. Is it going to be easy? No. Will it be worth it? Absolutely. Yes. I mean, don't you find that that's the thing? We've just got somehow we've been conditioned. I don't know. Have we been conditioned through school? I don't know what's happened to expect. We want this now. And come on, the old adage is true. Anything that's worth it, it's all going to take time. And it.
Well, I tell my clients, this didn't pop up overnight. Yes, you went to the doctor, they did a test, and now you found this thing, but you did not develop whatever you're facing overnight. And so I don't know why you would think one session or two sessions or 3 days, whatever, it's not going to, you've got to be willing to invest some time and into your own process.
And as you said, that's not just doing it at once, it's spaced repetition. My background is therapy. I was a sports therapist for 27 years. So again, people come with an injury, something's damaged. It's not going to be totally cured overnight. There is a healing process that happens in the body, same as I also was in the fitness industry, same thing. You come in to lose weight, you're not going to lose weight the first workout you do, right?
Yes.
There is a natural law, because it's universal. It's not for one person. They managed to go in the gym and do a workout and they dropped 5 stone and somebody else didn't, and that means they're not as good as that person. No, we're all the same. Happens to us all. So if our bodies are going to take time for things to change, for either muscle to grow or for fat to burn or whatever your transformation you're looking for, it takes time.
Yes.
Now, I find it interesting that 90 days, 3 months with, I don't know, with anything, 3 months of severe weight training, you could see real changes in a body. 3 months of really focusing on your business, you could see drastic change in your business. 3 months of, meditating and doing all those affirmations, I'm sure you would start to see evidence appear to know, so that you know that you're on the right track. I'm not going to say everything's going to be cured in 90 days, but what I'm saying is you'd be able to see real evidence somewhere, whatever your challenge is, whether it is health, whether it's wealth, whether it's fitness, whatever.
Relationships,
anything, right?
A matching story with my marriage. It just takes time and investment.
And taking action in some way, whatever that action is. So for you, what would you be your, I don't know, 3 top tips for anybody who is suffering now?
Okay, top tips. 1, write down your vision. Write down your vision. If you don't like to write, then draw a picture or paint something or find something on Pinterest. Get your vision where you can see it. I think that having a clear vision of what you want is so important. And then second, I would write some statements that match that vision. So I can't remember who it is. Some business person teaches, say it like you're already there, not like you want to be there. So, I make however much money a month. I am, my husband and I have a thriving marriage and we do this, this, and this, or my kid, whatever it is related to your career, your health, your relationships, your social life. I know people who are looking for deep, meaningful friendship connections. And so write down what you want to see in that area. And then the third tip that goes along with that is just say it every day. Say it every day. I live in, I flourish with, I thrive at, and just say it as a present day statement. Because like I said, even though it might not feel true because it hasn't happened yet, that you're just retraining those neural pathways in your brain to find each other. This is the reality 100%. I want to see. This is the reality I'm claiming and declaring, and your words have power to get you there.
There you go. Yes, your words are totally powerful. And one thing I would add there, so I know obviously I deal with completely different things, but at the end of the day, a goal is a goal is a goal, whether it's whatever. So, and I totally agree with that. It has to be in the present tense because our subconscious doesn't know time.
Right.
We do consciously because we need time to figure it out. Because we're not as clever as our subconscious, obviously. But our subconscious only knows now. So even, when I deal with people that, want to build their business, it's not put it, oh, I want to have made XYZ by December. Well, that's always going to be in the future. So yes, the statement of saying it in the now, because that's all it knows. Yeah. However, there's one little bit that I would add to that and say, because you were so consistent, it worked. And you were that vision, that dream was your why was bigger than your excuses. So you just kept going. For somebody else that might have given up too soon, there's one little tip that they could try initially, because if our conscious goal is not quite in alignment with our subconscious belief that we can achieve that goal, you're right. The way you did it will work. If you just keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going, you will eventually replace that. However, there could be a quick flip switch thing where saying it as a statement could bring up that negative, well, hang on a minute. I've been I'm still in pain. It's not working. Right. So it's in denial. So when you're out of alignment, you're not going to achieve it. So you could just say to yourself things like, yeah, but wouldn't it be great?
Yes.
When I am pain free,
Yes.
That would mean I could go and do that with the kids and not get tired, or that would mean I could go there and I could stay out, or whatever the thing is.
I'm so glad you brought this up because you're actually reminding me of some inner conversations I had that were in that turmoil state. And I can remember that I would make these declarations and then I would think, well, how could that be true? How could that be possible? I don't even know if this is going to work. Like I had all of these like negative thoughts, like you said, that would pop up. And so then my next declaration that I think I do have this in my book. I'm trying to remember, but I would say to myself, help me believe it. I don't believe it. Help me believe it. I don't believe it. Help me believe it. And so I think that might have been what helped me get from that's what helped me develop the consistency. I don't believe it. I want to believe it. Help me believe it. I don't believe it. I want to believe it. Help me believe it. And so
Perfect. You're asking your subconscious to actually help you,
yes,
rather than hinder you.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, or it's at the end of the day, there are, I do believe there are we say this is spiritual. They're universal laws. These are things that we can't see or touch or whatever, but they are there. So when we are aware, we have the power to work alongside it.
Yep.
Rather than go through life just reacting to the pain or to the whatever it is, and then we're always a victim.
Yeah.
It's and your story is so phenomenal, and I just think that's going to be such inspiration for many, because that is the thing, that the moment people get told there's something that's in their opinion incurable or whatever, and there's got to be we all need hope, right?
Yes.
We all need hope, and your story just really, I'm a total believer that it's all possible, and for anyone, because we are basically all the same. The only thing that's different is our different experiences or how we've reacted, but we all are all the same. So every single person out there that's listening, if they're struggling with an autoimmune disease, every single person has the power to have the kind of results that you have had. So
I believe it. I believe it for all of those listening who don't believe it yet.
yeah, and that's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you don't believe it, just keep telling yourself, and
that's
then
right.
tell yourself over and over until you do believe it.
That's right. And that's actually that's why the placebo effect works, because when someone goes in for a study, right, a medical study, and they give all these medications, they have one group of people that they give a placebo drug, which is just basically a pill of sugar, and they tell them that this is the treatment, that this is the cure. And like, I don't remember what the percentage is, but in a lot of studies, a high percentage of people on the placebo medication get better. And why? Because their brains believed that this treatment was going to work, and it wasn't even a treatment. So your minds have so much power.
There you go. See, you're stronger than you think you are.
That's right.
You're stronger than you think you are. Thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Karen. I've enjoyed this time so much.
And so I really hope that your son just keeps going. It'll be amazing to hear any changes. And so just a quick reminder for people listening, if they want to find you, how can they find you?
Yes, so on Facebook and Instagram and all the places, I'm the Chronic Illness Coach. And for anyone who wants to go to my website to check out any freebies that I have, including that breakthrough book, it's the chronicillnesscoach.co/links.
Awesome. So thank you for your time. To the rest of the listeners, I will be back next week with a coffee with Karen. And for anybody out there who has just felt like they've, I don't know, lost their mojo a little bit like I did a while ago, and needs a little bit of a quick reset, get their body in shape, my 10-day challenge is back on. So you can find more info at KarenRobertsCoaching.com. And for the rest of you, I will be back. Thank you, and goodbye.
Welcome to the Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical, and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo-woo.